Do you want to learn how to be a better ambassador of the sport and industry, whether that be volunteer work as an angler, influencer, and turn that into success in the fishing industry? This is the episode for you. Bass Fishing Dive Bar, Episode 2. I'm Adam Hinkle.
I'm Kurt Demerath.
And we're here with Logan Bliss from Green Bay, Wisconsin. He's a founding member of the Stevens Point collegiate fishing team, the Pointers. And we're going to talk about the infancy of collegiate fishing from timeframe 2007 to 2011 and the trials and tribulations in his journey from collegiate fishing to the next step, fishing in the Costas and the Rayovac. So, Kurt, tell us a little bit how you know Logan.
Yeah, so I don't remember how we got connected, but I just remember we met through you guys starting the Stevens Point team.
Yep.
You know, and I remember driving up there, I think, for a meeting, and then I had
presented at a meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we, I remember Troy Kilgus, which everybody I'm sure will meet at some point in time, came up and did a seminar about the Winnebago system. And yeah, we just sort of kept in touch and
developed a business relationship and a friendship. You know, however many years ago that was.
Yeah, some mutual pro staff stuff along the way that we both did together. And so,
yeah, Kurt, you know, for those of you watching who don't know, Kurt's company was one of the, actually, you guys were, I think, the first sponsor of the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point fishing team. So that was pretty cool. Long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so watched a couple different generations anglers go through that club from around the area. Stevens Point seems to be a pretty popular school when it comes to like my home area. A lot of people, once they're going to go to Stevens Point. It's close to home.
It's literally, if you threw a dart in the center of Wisconsin, you're going to hit Stevens Point.
Yeah.
So it can reach everybody. And, you know, that starting that team, it still brings me a lot of joy in life because, you know, every year when I travel around, you know, working trade shows for some of the companies that I work for, you know, you'll see collegiate teams posted up, you know, trying to recruit members or whatever. And especially the ones in Wisconsin, like I'll always see some Pointers still, you know, wearing their fishing jerseys and their clubs will be there, and I'll go talk to them, and man, it's still going strong, and it's bigger and better than anything, you know, when we started it. So it's really cool to see that it kind of stuck around, and there's been generations that have come up and kept carrying that on. So it's been really fun to watch.
And I remember some people that went to other Wisconsin schools that some of your members know, or I knew, that, you know, they leaned on your guys' club as sort of that footprint of how to get their own club started at like UW-Madison, like you guys were before them.
I think we started around the same time, but they're founding members. I mean, I still fish against those guys and know them. And yeah, we back then, because college fishing was so new, a lot of us in the state, we kind of all worked together to start our own clubs in our schools.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily like, you know, cutthroat competition back then. We were all trying to help each other start our own programs. Right. And it was a really cool time.
Yeah, and here there's not like some other places in the country where there's this big bass fishing community per se. Like there is a community, but it's not. It's nothing like Alabama or Kentucky or Tennessee or Missouri or, you know, any of these other places in the country where
it's not the hub.
It's not a hub by any means. I mean, here even still, you know, as big as bass fishing has become because MLF on. You know, like almost everybody I know knows what MLF fishing is, you know, watch Major League Fishing. But still, you go out to dinner and you're going to see walleye fishermen. The other guys will bring up like, oh, you got a St. Croix shirt on? You know, what St. Croix rods do you like? Blah, blah. And you start talking about bass equipment and they have no... They don't even know that stuff exists to a point, right?
Right.
They just know they don't like the sparkly boat driving fast half the time. So, and how did that affect you getting that? How did that affect you getting started the club? Like, was there an effect to Did you feel like there were some hurdles because bass fishing, especially then, was very like not well known, I guess? It wasn't even that it was disliked. It was just that it wasn't something that most people in Wisconsin would ever think is that's what I'm going to go fish for this weekend, fishing.
I don't know if it was necessarily a hurdle. It was kind of interesting. So there was the group of us that started the team at Stevens Point. We all weren't necessarily like tournament bass junkies, but we all loved to fish, and we knew this platform was out there to fish on a bigger stage, and we all wanted that. So we kind of almost transformed our love of fishing to hone in on bass fishing and collegiate tournament angling.
Yeah.
Because we knew we could start an organization and have that be part of our college experience. So, in a sense, I don't think I would really call them any hurdles, but it was just kind of, we all had these unique backgrounds and applied it to bass fishing because that's what we wanted. We wanted to fish in college.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do it in a more organized fashion than just, going in our old little boats that we had or fishing from the bank. We wanted to do it on a different scale. And so that was really the catalyst that started everything. Is we knew college fishing had just started and we wanted to be part of it.
Yeah.
And we kind of figured the rest out as we went.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people that are watching this today, they probably don't remember, weren't around for, there wasn't middle school or high school stuff. There wasn't youth Bassmaster clubs. There wasn't any of that.
Nope.
The college fishing thing was really new.
It was very new.
Yep. So there was four of you, to your recollection, that started it, right?
Yep.
How, what did you guys see that made you go, well, here's something we could do? Like, was it other schools? Was it that first national championship the year before? What?
To the best of my memory, we were all friends, and I believe it was one weekend where they actually had I don't even know if this is still around, ultimate match fishing.
Yeah.
They had a college of ultimate match fishing.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we were all in one of our dorms and watching it, and we're like, we need to do this. And so I can't remember. I might have been, his name is Chris. I think he reached out to, it might have been Iowa or Indiana or somebody that we saw in there.
Yeah.
And was just like, hey, how did you get this started? And got a little insight from them. And then we literally, we'd all be done with classes and we would just get together in the College of Natural Resources building and start brainstorming how we were going to do this. And then we started writing. To be a recognized organization, you had to have a constitution.
Yeah. So
we literally sat down over a period of months and wrote the constitution for that fishing team to get recognized by the university. And then it just kind of took off from there. Yeah. So
I think another thing that's important to know too about Stevens Point and why that it's a lot of natural resource people go through Stevens Point in the state of Wisconsin. Like I would say that's the hub for any natural resources education, unless you're going up to the UW, Madison.
Right. And I think that's one thing that really helped us get recognized by the university is obviously when you have all those natural resources kids there, everybody hunts and fishes.
Yeah.
And so the university was like, oh, this is pretty cool. We're going to have something for a lot of our students to get involved in that want to, go fishing outside of class. And, we also participated in a lot of university events too, whether they were charity events and stuff like that. And so that really helped having a school whose foundation is really centered around natural resources and attracting those type of students and people to it.
Well, like anything, if you're showing you're putting in work, if you're good for that entity, no matter what it is, even if it's your college, if it's, some local committee or club, the local town hall, if you're willing as a group to put in effort to help with stuff, that really gets the ball rolling as that this is good for the, in your case, the school. So we should support it.
Yep. Big time. Adam, I think you were trying to chime in there for a second.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, you started bass fishing in college. What, you fished a little bit before that? Not necessarily bass?
Yeah, so I started out, broad overview growing up. My dad always would take me. We did like trout fishing in the spring was big here in the streams, in like far southwest Wisconsin. We got a lot of really good trout streams, and we always did that early in the year, and then just a lot of fishing for bluegills and crappies. And then when I entered into, this was kind of a little cool side story. When I was in 8th grade, one of my teachers had like this after school and summer fishing program where he would take us during the school year. After school, he'd take us. We had one of the little buses. He'd drive us around to shore fishing spots, and we did that. And then in the summers, he was a big muskie fisherman.
Yeah.
And so that I got the muskie bug from him, and I did that for a while. And then once I got to college, we started the bass fishing stuff. So I really didn't start actually targeting bass, kind of hardcore, if you will, until I got to college and we started that fishing team.
So was a college event, whether that was your club's event or a joint college event, was that your first tournament for bass?
I think it was. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah. I didn't start tournament fishing.
And you would have been,
when I was young.
19.
Yeah. 18, 19 years old. Yep.
Yeah.
So how many boats are we talking about in an event like that?
I mean, our individual club tournaments, we'd only have 5, 6 boats.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we started, it eventually grew quite a bit. So we had the 4 of us that started the team, which would have been the fall semester of my freshman year. And by the time we graduated, we had 60 members in our club.
Mm-hmm.
So it grew pretty fast. So we exponentially kept getting bigger. And then, when we had these other host events, colleges would hold opens for different schools to come to. We would have anywhere from, I'd say, 20 to 30 boats in those. Yeah. And then obviously, that's how you qualified to go to some of these national events where, then you were seeing at the time probably 60, 70 boats, something like that.
Yeah.
So definitely saw it from very small to it was getting bigger by the time we graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew fast.
And even now, watching social media or like you going to a show, going to some event, especially in the Midwest here, like we have ice fishing shows, you have, regular open water fishing shows. And it's sort of a big deal here. It's not that big a deal in a lot of the country anymore, but I know when I go to the local ones, it's like you've said before, you see a person, it's like Stephen Pointer.
Yep.
I think, isn't Maggie from Stevens Point?
Yep.
Yep. She came out of
Cody Honor.
Yeah.
He was a big one. Sam Sobey.
Yeah. I mean, we run into people that are so active, whether it's YouTubing, influencing on social media, and some of them, what I really appreciate is they're just out there putting out their own content. They're not selling anything. They're just sharing their experiences. And you're like, just go down the list of like Stevens Point alum, the Stevens Point alum. There's a lot of local tournament people that over the last 10, 15 years that are regulars on the tournament scene here in Wisconsin that are out of Point.
Yep.
And I don't know how many of them fished in the club, but I feel like that always has an influence, right? Yep. It breeds that environment. It gives people exposure to it, especially here where, we can, there's so many people that have never been exposed to bass fishing or tournament angling much unless you're a walleye guy.
Yeah, really. For sure. Bass fishing is nowhere near what it is, especially down south.
No.
I mean, it's getting a lot bigger, but back then it was nothing. So,
yeah. And we have a lot of water, but it's not big water.
No.
Minnesota even has, a couple hours away from the Twin Cities, you have Mille Lacs and Winnebagosh and so many other big bodies of water. Where Wisconsin, you have the Bay, the Mississippi River, the Wolf River system, the Winnebago system. And everything else is an average of 12 to 1,600 acres.
Probably.
They're natural, just bowls.
Yep.
So the opportunity to have a big event like a 80 boat event is pretty limited here.
For sure. Absolutely.
But so after the college thing, where did you go from there? What was your progression? What was your thoughts? Or even what was it about college fishing, what you did there that made you, because being like, you go from one, starting a club, your freshman to sophomore year, to 4 years later, you're talking about going to the Costas.
Yeah. So I caught the tournament bug once I started that. And, I think what really spawned that is, I was in athletics growing up and in high school, very competitive, played multiple sports. Mm-hmm. And I ended up, my senior year of high school, I was a good basketball player and I ended up suffering an injury that I was going to play in college at point.
Yeah.
And that happened. But I still had this competitive drive inside me. And I really found that in tournament bass fishing. Mm-hmm. That was my outlet to compete. So it started to consume me. Like, yep, I just want to compete. Got a taste for it. In college, I wouldn't say I had a lot of success. I think I won an open tournament here in Wisconsin. And then my buddy Cody and we did win one of the Boat US events on Sam Rayburn in Texas, which was super cool. So you got that little bit of taste of success.
You get that taste, yeah. You get the bug.
And you're like, oh, I think I can do this. And then I became consumed with, all right, I'm going to graduate college, try to work, and I really want to try to make it fishing. And in college fishing back then, FLW was kind of the pioneer of a lot of it. It started with Boat US and the collegiate championships, and then FLW got in the game. And I think it was my last year of college is when FLW started their college fishing stuff. Mm-hmm. And the way that worked was the collegiate events were just one-day tournaments, and they followed the back then the Costa series. Yeah. And so the way that it was kind of goofy and very different than it is now. But what the way it worked is the guys that didn't qualify for the championship day on the Costa series were marshals for the collegiate teams. So you and your partner on the team would get in their boat and they would drive the boat, and you'd tell them where you wanted to fish, but you got to run the trolling motor and everything like that. You couldn't get any information.
Yeah.
And so I got exposed to that as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do this and try to make the FLW tour someday.
Yeah.
So graduate college, I got my taste of fishing down south, which obviously if you're going to make it in fishing, you got to learn how to fish down south. And I was like, well, I'm going to jump in these as a co-angler and really try to learn. So I spent a few years doing that. You got some really good learning experiences, and I made sure to kind of just absorb as much information and learning as I could. Had some poor experiences, which anybody who's done a co-angler thing at that level, you're going to have those. And then I decided to make the jump. I think it was 2015. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this as a boater. Mm-hmm. And so that was the first year I jumped into fishing on the boater side at that kind of AAA level. And that first year I think it was a 2001 Pro Craft with the, Mercury on it. I bought, I could afford a $12,000 boat.
Yeah.
And that was about it. And I was like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I remember the first tournament was down on Grand Lake. Had a really good practice. We blast off the first morning. I'm all amped up, and thinking I'm going to catch them, and this is really cool, and pull into my first creek that I was fishing in the spring tournament. And I caught two really good fish, like 4-pounders, which on Grand Lake, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And I go to move to my next spot. I trim my motor down and I start to go, and my motor won't trim up anymore. I'm like, shoot, I can't really go places because some of these areas I needed to get in, I had to be able to trim my motor up. So of course I go back and all the service trailers are there. Well, we're not going to help you because it's not a warranted piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So I spend time, trying to call all these marinas, and I finally found one that was literally, this guy had just like a garage. And so I found him. He said, yeah, I'll help you out, whatever. And so then I had to get my boat out of the water. Water temp's 48 degrees. Get it up on the trailer as far as I can. And then I had to get pulled out of the water while my motor was trimmed all the way down. So my skag starts dragging. I'm like, oh, this is a nightmare. And so one of the service trailer guys was like, well, I'll show you how to release the tension off your motor. So I released the hydraulic tension, had to get in the water up to like, my stomach.
Yeah.
Lift the motor up as my co-angler's like half driving my boat out of the water just so we could get it out of the water and
then
drop
you're
the
wading
motor
through the boat landing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, he got up and helped me while I lifted the motor. He put my transom saver on. We drive to this guy's garage and he's like, oh, I think it's just your trim pump is out. He puts a new one in for me. He had one. And so I'm like, okay, weighed in those couple of fish. Didn't do great, but I'm still like, I'm going to go out there tomorrow and we're going to have a good day. Go out there, trim breaks right away in the morning again. Like right away. And I was just like, so
welcome
now
to bass fishing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. First tournament ever. Yeah. So I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what is going on? So then I became very discouraged after all this. I was trying to be like, I'm going to power through this. We're going to have a good day, come back, whatever. And so I ended up not fishing that day, put my motor back on the trailer, told the tournament director I'm out of here, and I'm going home. And it was probably had to have been like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And I crossed the Wisconsin border. I'm going along and I just look in my rearview mirror just to, you're always checking your mirrors, right? And all of a sudden I just see my motor bouncing in the back. And I pull over. Well, because I didn't have any hydraulic pressure left in my motor and I just had a regular transom saver on there, my transom saver had snapped.
Oh.
And so my motor's bouncing. Ugh. And not only that,
who knows?
Yeah. And it happened and it ended up separating the cap on my boat too. Oh. So now I'm just like, what is happening? So I called my dad because I was like, what am I going to do? It's 10 o'clock at night. So he drove, gave me a transom saver, limped it home, took it in, had a huge bill. But I was still like, and I don't recommend anybody do this if you're going to take this route, but I put everything on a credit card. Mm-hmm. A lot of fishermen do that. I'm going to tell you right now, living through this, that's not financially responsible. And you're not going to win your money back likely. Yeah, right. To pay off your credit card. It generally does not work that way.
No. Don't count on it.
No.
We all know that one guy. There's always that one guy. We all know him.
Yeah.
It's like, I got to win this weekend. I got to,
not going to happen.
I got to win this weekend. And it's like,
fishing is a sport.
Pressure's the death sentence.
Yes.
Yes. And fishing is a sport where you lose more than you win.
Yeah.
Like way more than you win.
If you add up your time and you add up the expenditures that you make, we justify it in all kinds of ways.
Yeah. But
I'd buy it if I wasn't tournament angling, right? Yeah. I got a garage full of stuff still from when I tournament angled. Well, I had to have it, in case I needed it. I still got it.
Yeah.
Never needed it.
No. But yeah, so then I kind of limped through the rest of the year, maxed out a card, worked my butt off to just make payments on it. And then I was like, well, I'll do this again next year. And I ended up doing after that whole experience with the failed trim motor, I ended up selling that boat after I got it fixed, of course, and decided, well, I'm going to buy a boat with warranty. Mm-hmm. And so I bought a used boat that's still, it was a used Skeeter, but it had a new motor on it. It was only a couple years old and at least had a couple years warranty on it. So I was like, all right, this is going to help. The service trailer can at least fix this while I'm there. under warranty and I won't have to pay for it. Well, now I got a boat loan payment and I'm just trying to, work enough to pay that off, whatever. So the next year comes around, and the very first tournament down in Arkansas in Lake Dardanelle, I take like top 20 or top 30. And at the time, it was the largest field they had ever had in the FLW series. We had, I think it was like 212 boats. So it was a big tournament. Yeah. And I was like, wow, yeah, I could really do this, sweet. The next one was on Kentucky Lake. And I'd never ledge fished before. I spent, I think, 5 or 6 days down there practicing. Had to teach myself how to find fish on ledges. This was before, obviously, forward-facing sonar, so it was all side imaging. Look at, you side image a ledge and you think you see a fish and you make casts at it and you don't catch anything. And then finally, I think it was like 2.5 days I spent out there, never caught a bass. And I just kept trying to fish these fish that I would see on side scan. Finally, I saw a cluster, turned around, fired a cast at it. I caught one on my first cast. I was like, that's what a school looks like.
Yeah.
So I spent the next 2.5 days finding schools. Was really pumped. Ended up making like a 60-mile run on Kentucky Lake on the first day of the tournament. I was down in is it the Blood River down there? Right?
I'm not very familiar.
I think
with
that's a Blood River.
So, real quick, how many days of practice did you have until you figured out that deal where you actually found fish?
It's 2.5 days before I even caught a bass.
2.5 days.
Yeah. And I'm not talking like 8-hour days. I'm talking like 14, 12, middle of summer.
Yeah. Sun up, sun down.
Okay. So I was like at the ramp at 5 a.m. and it was after 9 getting off.
Okay.
Yeah. So taught myself how to ledge fish. I drew this kid who was probably, I think he was like 13 or 14 years old. Like his parents had signed.
Yeah. Hey, hang on a second. So you gave yourself how many days to practice though? So you practiced for 2.5 days before you caught a fish. How many days of practice did you have?
It's probably about another, we call it maybe 2 because we had to get off the water early the day before the tournament.
So you had 2 more days of practice
together.
Yeah.
Okay. So you gave yourself a whole week.
Yeah. I had a whole week. I think
you went down the weekend before or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I think our tournaments were always Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. And I went down, I traveled the Friday before after work, drove all night, fished my first day Saturday, and I didn't catch a bass till like Monday afternoon. Yeah.
Welcome to being the first time you ever fish a ledge when you don't live somewhere you can go fish ledges.
And
like
exactly.
It is, you don't even know. And the lakes are so big. Here you got
Kentucky
the bank.
Lake's 120 miles long.
Yeah, like a reservoir here. We don't even call them reservoirs, but they're reservoirs. We call them flowages or this or that. You've got the bank 20 feet off the bank's the river channel. Yeah. And then the river channel might be so wide, but it is literally a deep dredged, like it's the old Wisconsin River or Mississippi River or whatever.
Yeah, whatever old river.
Like you've got 20 yards of fishable water and then deep open water for another 20 yards, and then 20 yards is fishable water again. Like they're little ribbons. They're like creek channels are on Kentucky Lake.
Yes,
that's our reservoir.
Yeah, very different.
So yeah, when you're looking at them big giant ledge flats in central Kentucky Lake, like that's where do you start?
Just in general, whether you're from Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, the whole southern reservoir thing is so different,
right,
than what we see. You have in most of those lakes, it's a completely different forage base.
Yep.
So up here, you're talking a lot of bluegills, perch. That's crayfish.
Yeah.
I mean, that's mostly what our bass eat.
Right.
And a lot of them are a different strain.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of those aren't northern strain largemouth.
Yeah.
So they act different. And so when you're coming from the northern part of our country and going down there, you have to completely learn how those fish act and what those fish want to eat.
And how shad make them act, because
yes,
like you've started to fish the Winnebago system. That's sort of my home body of water. We had a 5-6 year period where shad was maybe even closer to 10. Shad was king, right? We had shad, but growing up, I never had shad on that system.
Yep.
And I had to learn how to fish shad forage base on that system. and now it's gone again.
Right.
You know, we don't have shad at all anymore. We got trout perch and emerald shiners and all this other stuff that doesn't spawn the way shad does. And it completely changes their, 10 years ago, the fish on a Winnebago system moved, patterned, positioned on structure way different than they do now.
Yep.
And a lot of people that were good during the shad time, when the shad went away, and it literally went from we had more shad than we've ever seen in 1 year to there's none the next year. We had a year where the end of April we got 30 inches of snow, and there was no shad after that. None. They were gone.
Yep.
And I think because that's usually when the shad would start pushing shallow on our systems and everything, that 30 inches of snow dropped the water temperature down to 34 degrees from 44 degrees
Cold
overnight.
shocked them.
Yeah, killed them all.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So it's very different when you go down there. Like
Sure.
when I go down south, I like the Coosa, like Fish and Lay, Logan
Yep.
Martin, that type of stuff, because it's a little more confined. It's a little more, I feel fish is similar to here, but throw the shad in there. But yeah, shad, Mississippi River still, I think, it's got a pretty
There's a lot
decent
of-
shad
yeah, there's
population
shad
still
right
and
down
drives
there,
that.
for
but
sure.
Other than that, yeah, there's not shad in many
Mhm.
places here.
Adam, what do you guys got for like forage bases mostly down there or over there?
We've got a pretty healthy shad population in every single one of our lakes.
Okay.
What really puts our lakes over the top is the trout, and it's all planted
Sure.
trout. It's not natural. So, and we haven't had that in years, really. I mean, they call a trout stock. A truck pulls up, they take a dip net, grab 5 trout out of a dip net, put it in the lake, and that's what they call a trout stock these days.
Wow.
Honestly,
Yeah.
with the exception of a couple lakes. We were getting every other week. Every week really. In some of them, we were getting 2,000 to 4,000 pounds of trout in a lake, and that's how we were able to grow 20-pounders.
Yeah.
Because they just sit under the boat docks right at the ramp, gorge on them. They wouldn't even have to move. They'd move 50 feet. So, but yeah, the shad, bluegill. We got a lot of bluegill in our lakes. Crawdads, some crappie, but the crappie thing isn't really. It's not a big pattern.
Yeah.
Shad and crawdads for the most part.
As much as we have crappie here, especially you as an ice fisherman,
Mhm.
we've got really good crappie populations in a lot of lakes. I don't know if they grow too fast or get out of that juvenile stage too fast, or if it's the type of slime they have, but you don't really see a crappie pattern here for bass.
It's not a
No.
I
thing.
think you would.
I don't. It has to be with.
thing, but it's not.
I
No.
wonder if they're not like if they don't digest as easily for a largemouth.
I mean, they have really long spines compared to other fish species.
Yeah.
Their fins are big, but
I mean, adult ones, I guess, are taller than bluegills, but at the juvenile stage, I'm not sure.
yeah,
They
they
it's
definitely
interesting.
don't target crappie like they do a bluegill.
But the funny thing is,
No.
and I'm sure you guys have seen it. You'll see these viral videos of like largemouth that are still alive that have tried to eat a giant crappie and it gets
yeah.
stuck,
Yeah,
and they pull it out and whatever.
Yeah.
And I actually
We
saw
get
that
that
once.
with bluegill all the time here.
Really?
yeah.
I can't
I've
tell
seen
you
it
how many
with bluegill.
fish floating out in the middle of the lake. You go out there and it's still kicking, and there's a 1.5 pound bluegill stuck in its throat.
Oh, we don't have many of those.
No, we don't have pound.
Well, you guys got the red ears though.
Yeah,
We got the
Right?
the big shell
Yeah.
crackers, and we got
Yeah.
3.5 pound bluegill. So
yeah.
Man, I gotta get out there and
Yeah.
catch one of those.
I want to catch one of those ice fishing.
I do too. I just want to catch one in general.
I need a 10-inch auger.
Yeah.
you go to Havasu, catch a 5 or 6 pounder.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh.
Can
You want to talk about a dinner plate? This thing just flowing over a dinner plate. They get
Yeah.
giant out there.
yeah, I do want to go out there and do that.
That would be
sometime.
super fun.
Yeah.
That would be really fun.
The the best bluegill bite you're going to have here, unless you're going to fish when they're on the beds, is you're going to wear your heavy, what I would call heavy tournament rain gear with some long underwear on underneath it. They were going to do it in shorts and flip flops and a
Yeah, I know.
t-shirt.
They're fortunate.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder, just something we overlooked on the crappie thing. They don't really live where the bass tend to live, other than when they go into spawn or late in the fall.
That's also true.
Exactly.
Yes.
They're main basin type fish. I don't know if
They're
you call
raw.
that pelagic, right?
Yep.
Yep.
You're the one with a degree, pelagic type.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
See, here they're out with the shad though. When in the middle of summer, you get bass out chasing schools of shad out in the middle of the lake. The crappie are right there with them, but they're eating shad. They're not eating the crappie, and I don't know if it's a size thing or what, but they're out typically live in the same area like you're saying.
Right, they're out there looking at the tenderloin, or they're out there looking at the poorly made cheeseburger. Cheeseburger being the crappie.
Yeah, they don't want.
I'll take the tenderloin.
But it's interesting, and we talked about this before we started the podcast, that in some of those lakes in Texas that I fished, the yellow bass or little white bass, I mean, they feed on those down there. I feel like that's pretty similar to a crappie.
Yeah, I mean, the Winnebago system
goes.
Yeah, the Winnebago system, when we had the white bass population is pretty good. Which, if people aren't familiar, there's white. We call them. There's white bass, and then there's white perch.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if there's an actual difference or not, but
depends.
A white perch, yellow bass, and what do they call it? Because they have it different in Iowa than Texas, but they all barfish in Texas.
Yeah,
they all look the same. White bass and all those species, they all look about the same. There's slightly different coloration between white and yellow, or a bluish hint, and that same break where the bars break seems to be the biggest differentiating feature to them all. But anywhere you go, like I know of a lake that's got a lot of what we call white perch, and they key in on them things. I mean, it's one of the few lakes that there's actually one spot that literally fishes like a Tennessee River ledge, and it's blue clay, and that they eat the big Little John, that big Magnum Little John, that big XL flat side crankbait that's like 5 inches long.
Yeah,
they eat the Jesus out of it. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
That's a similar thing. You go out to the desert lakes, Meade, Mojave, Havasu, the baby stripers. Yeah. They eat the crap out of the baby stripers. You find a school of baby stripers around grass, dude, you're around fish. Guaranteed.
I don't know what it is for what it means to you guys. Spro's cellmate in any of them, John Cruz. Shout out to his baits. I love those crankbaits. Those in cellmate, anytime they're feeding on white bass or any of the type of that forage, that always ends up being my color that works the best. And it's just a faded out, washed out chartreuse yellow on the sides and like this bluish purple back. I know you know about this because I know who taught me about this, and you know him too, Carrie.
Yep.
It looks like you took the old Lucky Craft Table Rock shad and bleached it out on your dash.
Yeah.
That's what color it looks like.
Very bleached out.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're at Kentucky Lake.
So back to the Kentucky Lake story.
Got this kid.
We got the kid. Super nice kid. And we make our trek, almost an hour boat ride down south, and I stop on this ledge, and I didn't side scan it. I'd known there was a school there before, so I just started fishing it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I pull up, first cast with a football jig, I catch one, throw swim bait in there, catch it. So I had my limit in like 5 casts, nothing big, like 2.5, 3 pounders. And I was like, I told the kid, because you're facing the current, so he's kind of getting naturally, back-ended.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, come on up here, like catch some fish. I wanted him to get his limit. He sticks like a 4 to 5 pounder in his first couple. I'm just like, you kidding me?
Was he throwing the best ledge fishing co-angler bait? Was he throwing a Carolina rig?
Yep.
He was throwing the C rig,
and
somebody smarted him up.
Well, I'll tell you who did here in a minute. So we end up. The kid was just thrilled.
Yeah,
I mean,
His
parents were there. It was his first tournament. They had to sign for him.
Yeah.
And he was just tickled. So that was cool. But I'm also sitting there like, you got to be kidding me. Like, why? Anyway, so we whack him there. Both catch our limit. He's got a bigger bag than I do. And then we proceeded to spend the rest of the day not catching anything. Like we wore
Yeah.
that one school out.
Yeah.
None of my other schools went.
Yeah.
And
Couldn't find them or didn't bite.
so this is me being ignorant back then. I didn't bother to like scan around anymore. I just jumped my waypoints.
Yeah.
And what I didn't really pay attention to is how the current changed that day.
Yeah.
And so I didn't make that adjustment.
Yeah.
But anyway, we make our run back up. I'm kind of like, well, yeah, I got a limit, whatever. It didn't do me any good. I had like 15 pounds. And this kid, he probably had like 17 or something like that. And afterwards, I had to go over by his parents to get my gas money that they make you give.
Yeah.
His parents and his family is really good friends with the Nixons. So Larry Nixon is there sitting with his parents. Yeah. And so then I got to talk to him and I was like, oh, that's how he knew to throw that Carolina rig. Larry probably told him. Maybe I should.
He knows a little bit about the Carolina rig.
Yeah. So
A little bit.
Yeah.
And then the second day, I had another small limit, even smaller, like 12 pounds. And so then I got my education there. I think our last tournament was on the Ozarks, and Ozarks in the summer are.
That's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah.
And so that, I had a couple of years, doing that, didn't have a lot of success, but I remember my third season, where it kind of changed for me. I had 2 years of, some mishaps and just, I had like one good event in 2 years and I was still determined to make it. But I was a little dejected, running out of money, any source of money. And going into that third season, the first event ended up having more motor problems, didn't have a good finish. And I remember it got to the point where at this point I'm just super frustrated. Yeah. And I literally was worried about having enough gas money to get home.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I fish for fun,
Yeah.
And it kind of made that turning point of it's not super fun anymore.
Yeah.
And then I ended up making that transition to what I kind of do now with the social media, the YouTube channel. And I still compete and fish competitively, but at a local level, and it's a lot of fun again.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually had quite a bit more success doing that. And I think a big contributing factor is I get to fish more freely.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not worried about money or have that pressure on yourself. You have that goal in mind of where you want to get, you put that internal pressure on yourself. I don't think you fish as good. Some people do, but
yeah, some people need a push, right?
They need a push, but for me, it just wasn't it. And then that's kind of when I made that decision after, a combined, whatever it was, 5 years between co-angler and doing it as a boater, that I was like, I'm going to go a different path.
Yeah.
And I still want to be involved in the industry. And I still worked with a lot of, companies that supported me doing trade shows, selling product for them. And now we're to the point where the last couple of years that, started my own YouTube stuff, and that, that's gone pretty good. And so still being involved in the industry, it's kind of hit the sweet spot for me. So I've really ran the whole gamut.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been around doing a lot.
So it's been a fun ride so far. So
I just watching you with the YouTube stuff now, when you talk about having fun fishing again,
mm-hmm.
like you said before, you grew up fishing. You just went fishing. It wasn't bass fishing or walleye fishing. It was just fishing, right?
Yep.
If it's at the local access with a bobber, or you took a Daredevil spoon out of your dad's tackle box that
mm-hmm.
day, or trout fishing, right?
Yep.
And I know the last couple of years you started to do a little more trout fishing again.
Oh yeah.
You're definitely doing a lot of ice fishing lately.
Mm-hmm.
Like you put the herd on some jumbo perch this weekend.
Perch are fun.
And how much do you feel that that's contributing to not just the fun you're having doing that, but then when you go bass fishing, it's not always the same because you're mixing it up, doing other things.
I think since the last couple of years, when I've just started kind of doing a lot of everything fishing and not just focus on bass. It's actually helped me become a better angler no matter what I'm targeting, because you can learn a lot about fish behavior when you target different species of fish.
Yeah.
And then you, of course, add in the live imaging stuff that's out there now, or forward facing sonar. And if you really pay attention and spend your time on the water, you become a more well-rounded angler because you learn a lot more. If you focus on learning all those little cues that go on throughout the day, what you do fishing for suspended crappies could help you catch suspended smallmouth the next day.
Yes.
And so that has really helped me learn as an angler overall.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like for me growing up, my dad he loved crappie fishing. He loved crappies more than bluegills. We did a lot of bluegill fishing, but he loved crappies.
Yep.
Learning where to cast your bobber in the river to catch that crappie off of the end of a tree. I still, every time I go fishing today on that river, bass fishing, I'm using that same information about that current seam or the way that current kicks off of.
Yes.
So you get to see the whole ecosystem, and fish are fish.
Yep.
They want to spend as little energy as possible, the maximum reward, whether that's for feeding or for spawning or whatever it is. So if you figure out a spot and why a fish wants to sit here, like here on the Winnebago system in the spring, the walleyes run this route upriver. They run this seam on a sandbar. You go back 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and the smallmouth are making that same migration.
Yeah.
Guess where they are? Same spot. So you can practice for your smallmouth fishing for walleyes, fishing for crappies, like you're saying.
Absolutely.
I know, Adam, you grew up like just bass fishing was the deal. So did you ever spend much time fishing for your big bluegill or those crappies or anything?
So I never really focused on catching the big ones. Like I grew up fishing in a small club, and in the summers when we were off of school, my parents would drop me off at Lake Murray, me and my younger brother, and we'd walk around the lake and we'd catch everything we could. Bluegill, little bass, every once in a while we get a decent bass. But when I got into high school, some of my buddies really got into catfishing too, catching channels. And it's kind of a funny story. There's this little cove right at the beginning of the lake when you first drive in, a little cove that this old lady used to come in and bring a pack of bread with her. And she'd crumple up the bread and throw it out there for the ducks. Ducks would all come in. Well, the catfish would come in underneath the ducks and eat all the bread. So my buddies caught on to that. So we'd buy a pack of bagels because it'd stick to a treble hook. Ooh. And we'd ball up a thing of bagels. Sometimes those bagels would float. If you got like the waxy outside of it surrounding that hook, it would float on the surface. You'd chuck it out there. I caught like a 16-pound channel cat on a topwater bagel.
Wow.
Topwater bagel.
Exploded on it like a spook. It was on just
holy cow.
I want to hammer him to get it through the bagel. But
I want to see
other species.
I want to see a Hinkle swim bait that's a bagel.
Yeah.
It's a big
you text your brother that.
About that.
Yeah, text your brother. Hey, I had a request for a topwater bagel swim bait.
That would be awesome.
Join it so it glides a little bit. Looks like it rocks like this in the water. Water shoots up through the hole. Tell them to figure it out.
That'd be impressive.
The next catfish lure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But it's little cool stuff like that. Like my mom's from Southern Illinois, and I don't know what it is about carp and corn. And I've never chummed corn for carp, but they like something round and yellow. And I'd walk these creeks that led into the Mississippi River. So they were like our trout streams are here. They're just tiny.
Yep.
At most you're getting like 16 feet wide, 20 feet wide of water. Like when it floods, it gets a lot wider. But I'd go down there, and around Thanksgiving, the water's cold. Like they didn't ever really freeze up, but you'd get ice on like the sides. You'd take a yellow 16th or 3/32 ounce jig head, just the body of a Berkeley power grub, and you'd like steelhead drift that down into the hole.
Really?
And the carp would suck that thing up. Wow. And then you set the hook, and there you are with like a 6-foot light or ultralight. And it's like you caught a steelhead.
Yeah.
I mean, they're peeling drag. They're going up. They're going through the riffles. They're going to the next hole. They're coming back up.
Wow. That's cool.
And again, though, like doing that, you could find holes where you could be up above on the bank and see the fish down in the hole swimming. And it taught me how to fish in cold water, especially in a river, like sort of winter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so again, back to that.
Yeah, you learn a lot by diversifying what you target, for sure.
And you definitely have a lot of feet in the water experience with your background.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just fishing.
Well, yeah. I mean, when we get going back to the college fishing stuff, and you know, if you're someone who's listening to this and you know you're in high school or you're in college and you're going to start, I think make sure to take some of those. You can learn a lot of life skills, either being involved in kind of one of the officer roles, whether it's a secretary or the treasurer, vice president role, something like that. You get a lot of life skills in that. I mean, we had to, in our fishing team, I mean, we had to build a budget every year.
Yeah.
And then you have to present that at a committee.
Yeah.
And you may not realize it at the time. I certainly didn't. But when you present your budget to a committee, that's public speaking skills, right?
Yeah.
And when you go to advertise for yourself in the fishing industry, if you're able to do a good job for a sponsor and publicly speak, whether it's giving a seminar at a trade show or you're going to make a 1 minute reel that you're going to put on Instagram, being able to have that public speaking skill is super important.
Right.
And
100%.
So you get to learn those skills. And if you're smart enough to catch on to that, which I don't know that I really was at first when I was in college, but take the time to learn those skills. Yeah. And, you know, budgeting in your personal life is super important, which obviously I didn't learn by the stories I just told.
Oh, you just took a little while.
Yeah, I was a slow learner.
You knew how to do it.
You just
didn't decide.
I did actually a really good job at our budget for our fishing team.
Yeah.
But poor in my own life. But so you can, you know, there's a lot of those skills. And then, you know, another thing that we did there that really helped us with our rapport with the university, and that's super important because the university, you got to have a really good relationship with them. And one thing that when I became president of the club, I wasn't the first president. It was until the second year I became the first or the president of the club. I really made it a point for us to engage in some of these public volunteering events. So our team was at every blood drive that was hosted at the university. So we'd, you know, go around and hand out cookies to the people who needed cookies or whatever at the blood drive. But we were there. We had our fishing jerseys on, and you know, we were a university affiliated program that was helping out in a, you know, community event. And we would every winter we would go, you know, ring the kettlebells during Christmas time. And so learning how to, you know, kind of do some of those events that helps the university's recognition. It helps your appearance in the community. And I mean, you should be doing it anyway, just because those are good things to do, but making sure that you spend time and your club spends time volunteering, whether it's for the university or the community, is huge. You need to have that good reputation and maintain that good reputation to continue to be successful in your clubs too.
Yeah.
And you know, I know a lot of clubs now struggle with, you know, getting finances from the university. That's always a tricky thing, right? Like
that's going to be a never ending problem.
Well, it's hard with college fishing because at least from where we were, and I think a lot of schools are still like this, we own our trucks and our boats. The university doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, they may pay for your gas and lodging. You're buying your own food. You're buying your own tackle. You go win a tournament. Whose money is it? The university says, well, you're doing this on behalf of us. It's ours. And you're sitting there saying, well, no, I have a truck and a boat load.
Yeah, look
and
what
I'm
I
in
have
college
invested into
and-
this. Yeah.
But one of the things that we were really successful at doing is we ended up coming to an agreement with the college that we were going to be able to split some of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was because we had developed that really good rapport with them.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, they're also saying, well, we have a budget for the whole team that we're paying all you guys to go stay at this hotel. Well, we're investing a lot of money and you guys are, bringing home $1,000. It's bigger than just the two people that won $1,000.
Right.
And they got to figure out, so it was, those are always really tricky conversations, no matter where you're at. But if you are able to develop that really good rapport with the university, you're going to have, it's going to help your case to navigate those situations for sure. So that's super important.
Yeah, it's easy if the school's really pushing behind, like they want to make something of it. We've all seen some schools do that over the years, that they're like, yeah, we want to matter, the way that, a big college football team would matter,
Yep.
But yeah, not every college is that way. And, I think you see a lot more small colleges, right? That get into the fishing thing because it is something for the students to do and get the school out there. And
But
yeah,
I wanted to make sure that there's a lot more than just the fishing side that goes into collegiate fishing. And it's important to get involved in that because it's going to help you life skills down the road, whether that's staying in the fishing industry or, whether it's your career. I mean, depending on where you go for your career, you're going to have to navigate tough situations, right? Well, if you build a good relationship with somebody, it makes navigating those tough situations easier. So you can gain a lot of other good skills outside of fishing, and it's important to kind of capitalize on those while you're there. And it's funny that I'm saying that now because when you're there and in the moment, you're like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. You're like, why do I got to do this? I got other things to do.
It's super important. So,
yeah. No, I think all of it, it's just, even just the non-college clubs, Adam being someone that's been in a club for a long time. I mean, I spent my time in a club, wasn't very long, but Adam's been, how long have you been involved with the club, Adam?
I started fishing with those guys, and I think I was 12 years old when I first hopped in the boat with them. So I'm 40 now.
Yeah, I mean that's long.
I'm not active in the club just because of life, 3 kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think I fished a tournament of champions. I want to say it was 3 years ago. So up until then, I was pretty active.
Yeah, and life gets in the way of everybody, and it is an extracurricular thing. But I think what you talk about with the college and what you should do on behalf of that club and build that rapport and just put yourself out there that you're a good entity, that's part of that college. I think, there might be a good opportunity for some of these regular bass clubs that are not college clubs or just a club like Adams that, look around your community, look around your bodies of water and how can we be a positive impact, not just someone that shows up and fishes the water, weighs in our fish, uses the trash cans, uses the toilets, uses the facilities, and goes about their day.
Right.
I think that's something that probably could really use a lot of looking at. Whether it's bass fishing or walleye fishing. Here because we have walleye clubs. Because I see it like local high school's got a fishing club. And it's not a bass fishing club, it's a fishing club, so they do some ice fishing stuff and all that. And I see it with the local, trap team from high school, that you got to get out and do that stuff. And somewhere I think as adults, we get like Adam's busy, right? Rightfully so. But
a little bit,
a little bit between work and kids and
baseball. Kids.
Yeah. Well, it's the kids stuff that you're running around doing,
fishing.
Can't do it all, unfortunately.
Can't do it at all.
It's too bad.
Schedule, dude.
Yeah.
Right. If you do it all, you only do a little bit of it all.
Yeah.
No, and everybody, especially when you're young and you're in that realm, whether it's high school or college, and if you're a kid in high school fishing, we all have that. At least most of us have that dream when you're in bass fishing of, I want to make it to the professional level, but similarly to professional sports,
Yeah.
what percentage actually gets there?
Right.
And it's a variety of circumstances, whether it's talent, finances, a very, very small percentage makes it. However, there are a lot of avenues in this industry that you can take, and it's important to build your skill sets while you're participating in some of these club level sports, because that is going to help you, whether it's, learning how to be marketable, marketing in general. Like if I could go back, and if you're a bass nut and you want to be involved in the industry, you might have the dream of being a professional angler, and let's say you do make it, it's just equally as important. Learn how to be a marketing machine.
Yeah.
Whether, with yourself, with products. I think a lot of people fail to recognize, that's like the most important thing.
Yeah.
The sponsorships, whether they're in the industry or endemic, like you need to be able to sell their product.
Yeah.
That's why they're going to sponsor you, is
right.
because they think you're going to be able to help their business. It's a business.
Right.
And you got to be able to pick up those skills. And,
especially in the fishing
100%.
industry, relationships, getting along. I can speak on, I've got a little experience with sponsoring people. And at the root of it, you got to get along with people.
Yep.
I've sponsored people that I've really liked that I know that other people didn't like, but I really liked them. But at the root of everything, it's like, it's a business relationship.
Yeah.
As much as in the fishing industry, it's very like friendship related, it is still a business relationship. And you have to be able to market not only yourself, but market the products without, there's some people you don't see it much anymore, because I think it's just hard to see this type of product make it into the market. But you used to see like some people that were they're about the check, and they would jeopardize their own reputation marketing something that was not necessarily that good. But nowadays it's just, be truthful, be able to expose, like a lot of, the hot term for it now is influencing.
Yeah.
It's creating exposure and awareness. And why should someone buy this product and use this, And back to the, that's one thing I avoided like the plague, the public speaking thing, like doing stand-up reports in school. Like it just terrified me. I avoided it like the plague. It was probably for someone who's worked in retail their entire life, I avoided that like the plague. That's the dumbest thing I ever did. Like I could sit there, like at the time I worked at Gander Mountain, I could talk to 10 guys about bass fishing, but you tell me to read my report that I wrote up in front of my room full of my classmates, and I'm sweating bullets and shaking like a leaf in the wind, all that stuff's important to do.
Public speaking and marketing are, it's almost as equally as important as your ability to catch a fish on the water.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I was trying to get at. It's like when you decide you want to be a professional angler, especially now more than anything, like that is such a bigger list of, lack of a better term, responsibilities that you obligations. Like 20 years ago, if you were a BASS angler, you had Bass Times, Bassmaster. Maybe you did some freelance stuff with the guys from In Fisherman or Bassin Magazine or this or that, But now, not at anybody's fault, but we don't consume print media like we used to.
No.
We consume this podcast. We consume social media posts, reels, all this stuff way more than we do an article that comes across even a Bassmaster post. We consume the anglers more. And if you're not out there creating that content in a good way, you're going to have to win an awful lot to make it worthwhile.
I don't know if you ever could.
Yeah, I don't know if you can anymore. I don't know if you can. I guess if you were that dominant.
If you win all the time and you can't speak, you're worthless.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and we talked about this a little bit off camera, and you guys know a lot more than I do about it. You're those guys that are making it. It's not from tournament winnings.
No,
and you guys know that better than I do. But
Adam and I have the unique perspective on that because, we know the guys over at Tactical Bassin so well. I mean, Adam, you've known Matt for I don't know how long.
22 years.
I mean, we've both known Matt since before he started Tactical Bassin, so it's been that long. And they've been doing it for forever. I think people forget how
one of the
how
originals.
much work that Matt did and Tim long before they were really known. 10 years probably. And it's a lot of work. And
it's a lot of work.
If you can go on the Elite Series or the MLF stuff, or even like here, you did, I think to me, I saw you start your social media beginnings with that Wisco Bass, or not Wisco Bass, but the head to head.
Yeah. Yep.
And Wisco Bass is about the same time. And you can do really good in those tournaments, even at a local level. But if you're not backing that up with further exposure, you're not getting anywhere.
No, no, you're not. It's even if you're very well spoken, if you're not creating the content, right? I know this is probably maybe a future edition, but you guys talk about Matt and Tim and all the work that goes behind it. I started YouTube 2 years ago, and just for some perspective, if I go out and shoot a video in an 8-hour fishing day, it takes me probably 5 to 8 hours to put that into a 20-minute video that I'm going to put on YouTube. Right. And then I have to go back. I create that, and there's a lot of platforms you can create videos in. I create that video, put it out there. Then I got to go back, and you need to put something on Instagram. Well, nobody likes just a picture anymore, so you got to create a reel, which takes an hour to create the reel, to send to your phone, to post on Instagram with something like it is. I never really understood until I started doing it how much work that is, and there can be some debate about this, but it's more important in my mind than a tournament result anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at, and I hope nobody takes this as, it's bragging of any sort, but my ice fishing video that I released that got 15,000 views is more beneficial to a sponsor than an angler on the Elite Series who took 30th place and didn't get any TV time.
Right.
Am I wrong in saying that?
No, you're 100% right.
And that's the way the industry is moving right now. So it's fun to fish tournaments, but if you can't fish tournaments and do the social media side, you need to do both these days.
And that guy that took 30th place, and
he's a hell of a lot better fisherman than I am.
Yeah. I mean, and he might do a lot of stuff on his own, or maybe he doesn't, but there's so much content out there that even if Bass gives him a little love, or whoever he's fishing with, right? He's competing against all that other content. They, these tournament trails, but nothing against them. They can promote only so many. Yeah, because they can only promote so many, and they help the anglers out, as much as they can. Hopefully, I'm sure there's places and people that have I could be helped out more. I'm sure that's true, but you got to help yourself more than anybody else helps you. And
so to your point, Logan, to your last point, Logan, Palahniuk is a prime example.
Yes.
He was on the bubble of making the Classic last year, right? Going into the last one. I'm pretty sure he made it.
Yeah.
He's the most valuable angler on the Bassmaster Tour right now.
Yeah. And I'd give you one better. Carl Jacobson.
Yeah, Carl Jacobson.
His YouTube series is huge. Yeah. And Carl is obviously a great fisherman, but his record on the Elite Series is not that great.
Right.
Exactly.
But his stuff he does outside. Value. Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
I mean, you can look at so many guys. Well, not so many, but there's a few. I mean, you look at the Gerald Swindle.
Yeah.
I mean, he's you mentioned, Brandon's probably the most, but Gerald's got to be right there too. with his following, and it's because of his personality, his public speaking ability, his marketability as an angler.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so important.
I think too. Yeah. I mean, there's two different types of content. You know, we brought up tactical bassing. That I wouldn't call tactical bassing entertainment.
Education.
It's education.
Mm-hmm. It's education.
You know,
100%.
Right? So there's two types of content.
For tactical, it's 100% education.
Right. So if you got
I'm not entertaining.
Me neither.
That's for sure.
You're entertaining enough. But you look at a Gerald Swindle, nothing to be doing it as long as he's done it, and to have like he has survived technology changes, bait changes, everything. Fishery changes. That guy has survived more things than most people on the Elite Series has, and stayed relevant through his entertainment value and his skill as an angler. So you can't take anything away from him about how good he is and or isn't, or how good he is versus how entertaining he is.
Mm-hmm.
That guy does it right for him, right? But he's entertainment mostly.
Yeah.
He has a lot of information. I've talked to him. The guy is, I think, almost with us thinking of him as entertainment so much because he is so funny.
Right.
Is a disservice to the knowledge that he has because he has a ton.
Oh, yeah.
And a natural gift of he just got that it factor.
Yep.
Right? He just, I don't know, he can sense when they wiggle a fin.
Mm-hmm.
But his big thing, like his big draw, is that entertainment. You can be that guy, and that's all right to be. You can be a Matt or Tim, a tactical bassin, and Adam, you know, be an educator. You know, and I hear sometimes, wow, all he is making jokes. What's he selling? I don't know. His sponsors must know what he's selling.
His brand.
His sponsors know what he's selling. Well, Matt and Tim don't fish. Adam, you don't fish the Elite Series. You don't fish. You know, I don't. You know, I get people that call me. Hey, what do I think about this? What do I do this? I don't fish and all that stuff. And some of these guys do. Then they call me and ask questions. Just because you're not on the Elite Series doesn't mean you can't be valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're entertaining doesn't mean you can't be valuable or knowledgeable. But at the end of the day, you can't. Not everybody can be the best at what they do.
Yeah.
Right? But every professional athlete has one thing in common. Their team's paying a coach a lot of money to teach them how to do something.
Yep.
So you talk about speaking well, learn how to coach.
Yeah, that's a good one. Very
learn
good
how to coach because as long as you have the knowledge and the ability to coach, to inspire, to like that's what I've said. I know Adam's heard me say this a million times about Matt. Matt has a gift. I heard it from customers over and over and over again. The guy watches every bit of fishing content he can. He watches a tactical bassin video, goes out and does what Matt says, exactly how Matt does it somehow, and he catches fish doing it. Matt's a coach.
Yep.
If you can coach, it don't matter what you win or don't win. You will get followers. You will sell product, and you'll be successful.
I think those are probably the most successful in the influencing realm. I think there is a space for those that are just entertainment too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But kind of, you know, tying this all together from where we started with the whole college fishing and the failure of making it to the professional level. Like there's a lot of avenues to pursue.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, you don't have to be the best at catching a bass in a fishing tournament to be successful in the industry. Yeah. And what, you know, I guess what does success look like? It's different for everybody. For me, I just kind of I want to go fishing a lot and document it and be valuable to the companies that support me and just be able to kind of work in that space.
Yes.
There are some people that you'll hear it. I think you've maybe said it a few times, like trade shows aren't that fun for some people.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
I get to go talk about fishing. I get to go out to dinner at night with people in the industry. Like that's my niche that I found for myself. So don't get discouraged if you're in college and then you get out and you wanted the tournament fish and you don't make it. Like there's a lot of ways you can go and still be involved. And it's so important to build those skills that are not fishing
100%.
related, especially today.
Right.
Because they apply to all of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I've definitely told you that trade shows aren't fun, but they are fun. But it's different when you have to
Parts of them are fun.
build the booth,
Yes.
do all the prep work on the back end, get it
Yes.
there, pay you to be there,
Yes.
buy you dinner.
Yes. So
It's-
I should have.
You're
Yeah,
exhausted
after hours.
before you exhausted before you even get there.
I should have.
Yeah.
That should have came with an asterisk when I said that.
but no, that's the thing. That is when you own a business going to a show. And I didn't
It's
do
way
much
different.
trade shows. I did dealer shows, you know. So
Mhm.
I'm at a show for Pittman Creek, or I drive to Mark's Outdoors and do a show for them. I love seeing the customers. I don't know anybody that doesn't, that works in this industry, because you're not going to make it in the
Well,
industry
yeah.
if you don't. You love the customers, you love all that, but it's exhausting.
Mhm.
You know, it really is. And if you have time to wind down after it, it's a blast. I never went to a trade show and went, I wish I didn't go to that.
Right.
Like I had fun at every one, but there's just a lot when you're on the other end of that.
Yep.
I just recently went to a trade show, a dealer show, for no reason other than I knew people there, hadn't seen them in years. You know, I had guys from Georgia that I used to see all the time, haven't seen them 4 or 5 years. Some local sales reps that I haven't seen in forever that I used to work with at Shields or Gander Mountain. I hung out for 3 days just walking around that show, bull crapping.
Yep.
Wrote some orders for some people, you know, sat down in a booth, wrote an order for dealer, you know, good time. But I didn't have to do all the plan for the booth, plan the itinerary, get the stuff there. Yeah, it's a different deal, you know. I just went to the Wisconsin Ice Show. I don't know if you went to that.
I did not. No. I went ice fishing.
It was. I had to buy I had to go for a couple reasons, but I had to get an auger, you know, and a shuttle. But it was fun because that was the first time in a long time I went to a show as a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Long time since I've been able to go as a show as a consumer, and oddly enough, there was a guy there that I had to have a little meeting with about some business stuff. And a local guy he has helping him, is a guy that I worked with at Gander Mountain. His name's Ryan Stanky. He's a guide. He's helping this guy I'm supposed to have this meeting with from Minnesota.
Wow.
Ryan and I used to fish walleye tournaments together. We fished a handful of them together when we worked at Gander Mountain together, and we're actually pretty successful. And we got talking about we had to have this jig head color and, you know, the current seam here. And, you know, we go out to dinner afterwards, hang out with those guys, meet some other guys.
Yep.
You know, and it's like, okay, yeah, that was a blast.
Absolutely.
Like, I wish I wouldn't have waited till the last day to go. I could have did this 3 nights instead of 1.
So
you know,
that story brings up kind of another, as I'm listening to that, I'm thinking about this, another point here to make too, like having those, we talked a lot about the good relationships, right? But our industry is so small that it's so important that you keep those good relationships and develop a good reputation, because you never, I mean, things change constantly. Your partnerships with companies are going to change. And if you want another one, well, if you have a reputation for being difficult to work with, or not a nice person, or you don't work hard for those other sponsors you had or partnerships you had, nobody else is going to take you on.
It goes.
So people don't really, we all think, at least I feel like a lot of us think, you know, the fishing industry is so huge and whatever, but really it's small. It's a small group of people.
It's small.
Right. It's really small.
Yeah.
And it's really fun. You know, a lot of people would think, oh, if I aggravate this brand, I'll just go to their competitor, and I've done enough that I can. Odds are that brand and the competitor are probably the 2 companies that talk to each other the most, because
exactly.
like, you know, as owner of Dirty Jigs, if I had a rough day, there's not too many people I can call and talk to about my day.
Yep.
You know, who did I call? Brooks at Nichols Lures, who sold jigs, was competing for the same peg hooks I was, you know, or there for a while, I'd have some conversations with Cliff Pace when he was doing, he's still doing a bunch of jigs for some different people and stuff. I don't know what he's all doing, but I know he's still doing jigs. And that's the only people you can communicate about what you're going through, if you think you're going to, have a bad deal or get aggravated about the deal you're getting, and you just don't burn a bridge.
Just work hard.
Just work as hard as you have time for, because we all know that this isn't people's full-time gig,
Most of
it's
us,
not your full-time gig.
Most.
Right?
Yep.
Right. Just work hard, do what you say you're going to do. And if you can't do something, just spell it out. Say, hey, I can't do this.
Yep.
I don't have the time, or it's conflict to this or whatever. Because that'll get you a lot further.
Absolutely.
Than anything.
100%.
And be prepared. I know all three of us have had the same thing happen. We all dealt with independently the same person at the same brand at one point in time or another. And, especially for me and Adam, I know we never really groomed any relationships with that brand outside of that individual.
No.
Next thing you know, that individual's not there anymore. Yep. And you have no more relationship. I've had that happen to me a couple different times in my fishing career, both, whether it's a sales rep for a manufacturer, that I was buying hooks from or something, or it was, somebody that I was doing, that per se pro staff or marketing for another brand. And you're going to feel burnt.
Oh yeah.
You're going to feel, shorted by it, but understand that's just part of the game.
It is.
And unfortunately, it is the negative side of that.
Yep. Those people are going to change.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. I might just even, Adam, what relationships did you have with Brooks when I sold Dirty Jigs?
Zero.
But then to Brooks' credit, I bring Adam up to him and I'm like, yeah, and he designed this color, and I can't remember the other one. Oh, Purple Haze. Yeah, I know those three colors. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's the guy. It was easy sell because it's like, wow, Adam and I are doing a podcast. Adam helps Matt at Tactical Basset, So
small world.
And then,
Small world. Everybody knows everybody.
Yep.
Word gets around quick.
Yeah. So with all of that said, I wanted to really talk about one thing that I don't think we hit on very good or very well, but I'd like you to talk a little bit more about that mental. I don't want to use a bad term because I don't want you to think I'm beating you up, but
not going to take it that way.
And we talked about this beforehand, so you know where I'm going.
We've all been there. We've all been there. You're not beating anybody up.
So, you've got the bolt problems. You got all this stuff. At some point in time, if it was any Russ, I'm not going to speak for you. I'll let you speak for you. But Adam or I would have had that I'm not good enough, I can't do it thought. How did you go from, if you had that thought, to where you are today?
Honestly, it's probably my attitude. I do not quit.
Yeah.
And I also have I'm one of those people that's really afraid of failure.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have just that drive to try to be successful. And so that kept me going.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously I transitioned that into, I still have the drive to want to be in what I consider successful for myself. I knew I wasn't going to be in the industry working full time.
Yeah.
How can I turn that into something that I'm actually successful at and still be in the industry?
Yeah.
But when it came to the tournaments themselves, it was really just that drive to, I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
I don't think my dad invented this phrase, but he always used to tell me there's two things in life you can control, and that's your attitude and your effort.
Mm-hmm.
And the results they're not always in your hands.
Yeah.
Whether it's a boat breakdown, you break a fish off, you lose a fish, whatever it is, and those things happen to everybody.
Right.
They happen to Kevin Van Dam's. They happen to some guy in their bass club that lost the bass club tournament. Like, that is always going to happen. And you got to be able to understand that that's the case and just have that drive to persevere over it.
Right.
And eventually,
how many times have you told me, Kurt, when it's your time, it's your time?
Oh, every time we talk about fishing a tournament.
Yeah. I mean,
when it's your time, you can't wreck it.
It's
the
truth. You can't even stop.
I almost ran out of gas and randomly ran into a friend of mine on a pontoon boat drinking in the middle of Lake Poygan once. And he ran back to his dock and got me gas.
Wow.
Because he had a gas can sitting on the end of his dock that he didn't put in the boat. Like, he didn't pour it in the boat. Like, it was just sitting there because he was topped off. He's like, oh, because I miscalculated my gas.
Huh. Yeah.
Guess what? We won.
Yep.
It wasn't late.
Yeah. When there is that. There's that
time.
factor.
It's your time.
You can't make it. You can't make that stuff up. Like, when it's your time, it's your time.
No. And, and then transitioning to where I am now too, like, I think, and this is so hard to do, and it took me however many years to learn, over a decade to learn it, but going out there and fishing freely is a big thing.
Yeah. You talked about this a lot with me lately, and I think you're spot on with that.
We had this conversation earlier today about, when guys go to practice for a tournament, a lot of guys like to catch fish during practice.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people.
Right.
You don't really need, if you pay attention to your environment, and you don't really need to catch a lot of fish in practice.
No.
My best tournament I had last year, I caught one bass in 3 days of practice.
Yeah.
Now, part of that was because I cut hooks off.
Right.
But I didn't need many bites. And then once you start figuring out what they're using, you really can just either use it's your trolling motor in your eyes or your electronics, and just start patterning that stuff without catching fish. And then to be able to go out in that tournament and just kind of fish that day that's in front of you. I don't think 1% of the time weather conditions might be the same as they were in practice.
Right.
Or, watercolor's the same. I mean, there's so many variables that can change overnight.
Yeah.
And if you when you go into a tournament with a preconceived notion, like, all right, I'm going to catch them on this bait and, this cove, this depth of water, and you just go do that, I'd say 99% of the time your results are not going to be very good. You got to be able to
prime example of that. The last tournament that I fished over at Lake Mead is back in September. The last 2 days of practice, the whole practice, I think I took like a 30-minute window when some weather moved in, because 2.5 days I hadn't stuck a fish. I was getting bites because I had hooks cut off, but probably 40 minutes, some weather moved in. I pulled into a cove. I was like, dude, I got to put a hook in something because I got to catch something.
Yeah, right.
Fish, right? So I said, I'm going to pull into a cove that I know everybody's going to fish. I think I put like 12 pounds in the boat, and at Mead, 12 pounds is a good bag. In 30, 40 minutes, I put 12 pounds in the boat, and I said, okay, I am done. No more hook and fish. I went another 3 consecutive days without sticking a single fish. I marked like 120 grass beds in a big area. And in my head going in, there were no preconceived notions. There wasn't, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do this, this, and this. I had a bunch of rods tied on. I went in thinking, I'm going to fish these areas. I'm going to fish these grass clumps, but I don't know exactly how I'm going to catch them. But I'm still learning that fishing freely thing because I went out and I automatically up here, I'm still making those same casts, to the same part of the grass bed.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing different baits at them. I'm trying different things, but I'm not truly fishing freely still.
You're still trying to duplicate practice.
A little bit. I'm still trying to duplicate practice. And at the end of the tournament, Dylan Denny won the thing. And when he was talking about how he was catching them, it's in my head like he was doing exactly what I was doing. And we spent close to an hour on the phone after the tournament. And he said, dude, you were one errant cast from figuring out what edge of the grass bed that those fish moved to, because you figured out what speed they wanted to eat. But where did those bigger fish move to? Had you figured that, had you made that bad cast and that clicked in your brain, oh, they're on this side of it, you had been right there 1 and 2 with me.
Wow.
You think you're learning to fish freely, but you still haven't completely unlocked that.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I was telling Logan earlier, that's probably the number one thing that when I see people make that transition from what we all laugh about and joke about, I think in the fishing tournament world, is winning practice. When they make that transition and start doing good in tournaments, they may not do like you guys are talking about with catching less fish in practice, but they quit going out trying to make the same cast on the same tree that they caught that big one the day before or 2 days before. Like I hear that all the time. A guy like, man, every tree I caught him off 2 days ago or got bit on 2 days ago, it didn't have it. Well, didn't have it, or they repositioned on that tree. So
they
like
repositioned.
My home body water, current's a big factor. One day they might be up shallow. You start adding boat traffic from pleasure boaters and, you know, our bluegill fishermen, our walleye fishermen, everything. Those fish reposition. They can still be on that same tree. They're just not in the same spot. And that's where you got to go into it, in my opinion, as you have experience on Lake Mead, right? So next year when you go to Lake Mead, because I know you like going there or wherever it is, if you go to the Madison chain next year for something, you have years of history. That's history. You have it in your brain as history. And that gives you starting points and it gives you things to grow upon. As soon as you start doing that your practice is the same way. Doesn't matter if that practice was 2 years ago or a lifetime of it on a body of water, or it was yesterday. It's still just practice. That's just a gauge to tell you what the fish were doing. The fish can either be doing something different or the same thing. The day of the tournament, you got to figure out what it is of those two things. Is it the same as practice or is it different? And how do I catch them? And just go fishing with that information. You can't go out there and try to duplicate practice. Very rarely does that work.
No.
And it's hard. It's really hard to do.
Really hard, especially when practice is really good.
Yes.
Right? It's really good.
Exactly.
Really good. I've had a handful of times where practice was really good and I did good.
Oh, it's rare.
Most of the time, practice was horrible. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you guys have had it, but I had one practice. I'm like, the water needs to go down, then the water needs to come back up, and we're going to go catch even better than what we caught in practice a whole week beforehand and didn't have time to practice before it. Blew the doors off. Like, just same cast to the same trees. Watched the gauge. The water did exactly what I wanted it to do. Pulled the fish out while everybody else was practicing. Went back up the day before the tournament. Pushed all the fish back in. Like, called it 100%. Like, perfect. But normally that's not the type of results you get. You normally get the, damn it. I'm too on them
of the time.
I'm too on them in practice. Like, what's the next pattern? Like, you're driving home from practice and smashed them, and you're like, okay,
you're fishing leaving fish.
Doing? Yep, I'm fishing leaving fish.
Well, think about it too. I'm sure you guys have experienced this a lot as well. But you show up to a new body of water and you catch the fire out of them.
Right,
the first day you ever show up on a lake, and you're just out there fishing conditions and
100%
what's in front of you. And one of the guys that I travel with, he always gives me kind of some crap about it. He's like, you literally will just show up and catch fish, and I'm like, that's because I have no preconceived notions,
right?
Like, and it doesn't work like that all the time, but there's a lot of times where you'll go somewhere you've never seen before and do pretty good right away because you're free.
Yeah.
Where should they be? If you're looking for where they should be, you catch them. Where someone else is, where were they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're playing catch up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, this could be a whole nother podcast about that type of stuff. I mean, I've spent a fair amount of time in the boat with pro anglers. It amazes you how much those guys just go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Like exactly what you're saying. They just go fishing. Yeah, they might have been there a handful of other times, but we get trapped into the local knowledge. We get trapped into like intimate knowledge about a body of water.
Yep.
When pro anglers show up on a body of water, there's maybe one or two guys that have that intimate knowledge of a body of water. The rest of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have the time to figure out these little nichey things. So, they're keeping their bait color selection small. They've got, 2 different profiles of Texas rigs, a couple different crankbait, and they just go fishing. And they're fishing more like textbook fishing than anybody else on that body of water does. And a lot of times those pro anglers, they show up for an Elite Series event. Yeah, the local tournament the last weekend or the weekend after has probably got bigger weights than the pros.
Oh,
do.
yeah.
But the pros don't live there.
Right.
Yep.
Travel to somebody else's body of water and see, most of the people that can go to any body of water and put those big local tournament winning weights up all over the place, they end up being a professional fisherman.
Yeah. Right.
Because there's a difference. There's definitely a difference.
A huge difference. And I think one thing that when you show up at a new body of water and you're fishing more simplistically, like you kind of described, you're also going to be targeting those fish that are really active and hungry.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you're going to be catching. Yeah. Whereas somebody who has the intimate knowledge is going to be trying to force feed. And it definitely works sometimes. But, I think a lot of, you look at like Kevin Van Dam's career, that guy just power fished. He was only targeting fish that wanted to eat. He wasn't trying to 100%. Make a bass eat. Mm-hmm. And, I always think, you were talking about the guys you spent time in the boat with. How many years ago? It was like 2 or 3 years ago when John Cox fished both the Elite Series and I don't remember if that was still FLW or if it was MLF in one of their inception years.
It was MLF. The year you're talking about, the year that like they made a big to do that he fished both. That was MLF. Yes.
And I mean, that guy, it was so fun for me to watch like the interviews and stuff with him, because he would literally finish an MLF tournament, drive overnight to fish an Elite Series event with no practice, and crush them.
Yeah, just go fishing.
And I mean, he's as simplistic as it gets.
Oh, he is. I've
3
spent
rods
time
in the boat, basically.
Yeah, that guy is something to watch on the water, because it's dumbfounding how it's just like he just literally goes fishing like I did when I was 13 years old half the time, in my opinion. I'm like, but his casts are precise.
Oh yeah,
how much water he covers. Me and you were talking about that. And I know that Adam and I have talked about this in the past, and we're gonna talk about this stuff for 5 hours if we keep talking about it. But the way the pros fish compared to the average guy, and how fast they change to environmental changes. I mean, I've witnessed stuff that it was life changing to me with how I fish, or know that if I wanted to go do that, how I'd have to change how I fish. I mean, you haven't spent time in the boat. Adam knows how I like to fish. I'm slow. I'm methodical. I like a flipping stick in my hand. But so does Scott Canterbury. Scott Canterbury will cover 50 yards of bank before I get done fishing 10.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're always looking for fish, and they're always looking for that active fish. I think some things that people don't understand is a lot of these pros are practicing the second half of their day or last third of their day, the first 2 days of an Elite Series or an MLF event. They're looking for future fish
Mm-hmm.
because they've got what they feel can put them in contention, and they start running some other stuff.
Yep.
It's
And they are good enough to pick up how those fish changed right off the bat.
Yes.
I witnessed it one
Still
day. I was putting the boots to a guy out of the back of his boat, flipping a 3/4 ounce punch jig. And that's sort of my jam. Like that's,
Yep.
Knowing where I've done well here, like,
Yep.
that deep weed, Madison Chain, old Shawnee Lake stuff, like that's my thing. And I'm just giggling at the guy and I'm riding him, like I'm poking the bear, being a smart ass. And I noticed the wind changed. He noticed the wind change. He picked up a swim jig soon as that wind picked up. I sat there for another half hour till I was crying in my own, sorrows, because he made the change before the fish changed. And soon as they started biting again,
Yep.
he made me look silly.
Yep.
Because it changed that fast and was that good. And there was like a 10-15 minute window. And by time I finally, swallowed my pride and made the same change, the bite window was done.
Yep.
And couldn't catch back up the rest of the day.
Boy,
That's the pros make that change so much faster than the average angler does.
Oh yeah.
They fish for active fish so much better. The amount of non-errant casts they make is so much better.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so much more proficient and in tune. And I've seen it a lot this last year. They're talking about, well, what's the most important thing to work on? Casting accuracy. A lot of pros been talking about that, casting accuracy, and older school guys like myself think about, okay, how does my jig go into the water when I flip it into a bush? Does it smash in there or does it just gently lay in there? But I think as much as anything anymore, you talk about, I know both of you have done it a lot more than I have, but your trolling motor's pointed this way, there's a fish at 60 feet, cast 60 feet.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like I've gotten really
hit him
pretty
on the dome.
decent. Yeah, I've gotten pretty deep, or just hit them where you want to hit them.
Yeah.
Like you just got to be proficient enough to, like, if I want to go past them, I can go past
Exactly.
them. If I want to be short of them, you got to be able to put it where you want to put it. I think I'm sort of fortunate because of my background in archery and shooting so much. Like I have a good gauge on distance and stuff, but it's still like I can't imagine. I was running my live for the first time this spring with a guy that uses a lot, my buddy Troy. Troy.
Yep.
And he's throwing a chatterbait, and he's just like, well, just see what this looks like, And he's like, here, 60 feet, cast it out there, lands 60 feet, 50 feet, cast out there, lands, watch it go down. He's not even looking at the live.
Yeah. Just mechanics.
He just looks at where the trolling motor's pointing, makes the cast, and calls the distance he's going to cast.
Yep.
And does it over and over and over again. And for me, who grew up being the river guy and the lake guys, we always joke that they couldn't hit, a 5-gallon bucket from 10 feet away because you just whip the cast out there, just whip it out there. It wasn't precision, but the river guys, like, you got to put it in that, pop can. And here I got this lake guy in the boat with me that is just dropping dimes at whatever distance he wants to, in any direction he wants to.
The only co-angler situation I was ever in a draw tournament. I fished with Julius Maisie over at Lake Mojave in the U.S. Open, and that is the one thing that blew my mind. He's fishing smallies in 50 foot of water that are suspended off the bottom. Yeah. He did not miss once. In 9 hours of fishing. Every single fish he casted at landed on their head. Like the efficiency was it was mind blowing. And he's making 120 foot casts.
Right.
He's not
throwing at the boat. Yeah.
No, it's not 50, 60. It's 100 and 120.
Yeah.
Like we weighed the biggest bag of the U.S. Open that year. We had 23 pounds of smallies.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was unbelievable how accurate he was. And you do it enough, you get that good at it, but it takes more than just doing it enough. It takes a system.
It takes wanting to do it.
Yes, Colby Pearson's
have to
another
want
one that I want to have on here. And Colby gave a good tip to me a while back. I'll let him explain that on a future episode. But how to control that and up here be able to time it.
Yeah, that's one thing that people have asked me that. Like even Carrie asked me. He's watching me do it. He's like, "You don't do this. How are you doing that?" Because I'm just landing at the ditch.
Yeah.
But years ago, Archie, you shot unknown yardage. She had to learn how to gauge yardage.
Yep.
So like I have my screen set, like even on my 360, I do the Brandon Polnick thing. I set my screen to 120 feet because I know yards.
Yeah.
And so my stuff's always set at, when I set distances, it's always 120, 90, 60, because I can divide it out. I can divide it by 3 and know my yards.
Yep.
And that's smart. And then so people ask me like, well, how do you do that? When you're in the woods looking out, you got dips and you got valleys and you got shadows and everything. Fishing, it's not that critical if I'm off 5 yards, but when I was shooting an unknown yardage tournament, 5 yards is a lot.
Oh,
even
fun.
if you make a perfect shot, like, oops.
Yeah. Yep.
Shot under that one.
When I first started using forward-facing sonar, it honestly surprised me at how close like 40 feet is to you.
Oh, dude.
It feels like I'm fishing in front of the boat all the time.
It's
that's the thing that got me.
Yep.
There was some like translation I had to do because what you thought was, what I thought was like 30 yards, right? No, no, I'm not casting 30 yards.
Well, it makes me feel better you say that because I was feeling kind of dumb because I hunt too, and I'm like, well, I'm pretty good at shooting a bow, but
so there was you had to start going, okay, this is this distance, this is what it looks like on water, but you already have the knowledge or the experience to say, you can duplicate it once you get the gauge.
Yep.
Once you calibrate your own settings.
Yes, I got to calibrate my own settings. That's a good way of putting it.
It's funny, back to our relationship and history, and it's so funny to me because I remember having a conversation with you about electronics and mapping and stuff, and he was so just like, meh, just put a line in the water. No, I'm calling him about forward-facing sonar. Having to ask him questions about
throwing up
electronics.
My history, I did not.
His attitude 15 years ago was that of a southern bank beater type of fisherman.
It was more fun, but I've adapted. I've overcame and adapted.
Yeah. All right, we should probably wrap this up.
We're an hour 45 in.
Yeah, Adam might have to do a little fancy editing and shorten her up here on this one.
By.
Huh?
No, I think we're good.
By.
Yeah,
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Hour 45 is good.
But we definitely have to get on here and do a more detailed, like how we all three of us, how we looked at practice. I think that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that'd be a really good conversation.
Well, we got some very good detail-oriented folks here in the room. Not me.
I think you're very detailed about the important things.
Well, maybe. We'll see. But
I told you that earlier. I told him earlier, I said, I'd rather pay more attention and be on fish all the time and have limited bait selection, which is basically you in a nutshell, compared to me. I have every bait possible to catch a fish anywhere, but ain't not always on them.
Yeah.
Don't matter what you got if you ain't on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to get Logan a shirt that has bass fishing dive bar.
Please.
There you go.
On it, like right here, but on the back, it's going to say winning practice.
Yes. I will wear it on stage every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Logan, he did. He's like, I'm going to get a shirt that says winning practice to wear tournament fishing.
Yep. Well, thank you guys very much for having me on this. I really appreciate it. It was super fun and super grateful that you had me on here. So thank you very much.
We appreciate you taking the time, especially being a morning individual like you are. And it's the time change is a little tough to deal with, and then we get long winded. And
Oh, that's all right. I'll give you a call at 4 a.m. when I wake up tomorrow.
I mean, you can. I won't answer. Feel free.
I do that every once in a while.
Yeah.
So where can people find you, Logan? YouTube, Instagram?
Yeah. So, my Instagram is LB Outdoors. YouTube handle is LB Outdoors 0914. And then Facebook's just Logan Bliss. So,
Logan Bliss.
Yeah, those are the 3 socials that I use. And appreciate that.
It's a lot of fun watching some of the ice fishing stuff he's doing. He being someone from ice fishing land. Like you guys fly it up and down the Mississippi, airboats to go ice fishing because you can't get to some of these places because the ice isn't safe, So they take airboats. And then that plenty of videos about the which I think is a fairly new thing because I don't remember them being around like 5, 6, 7 years ago, but the old snow dog type of deal.
Oh yeah. You probably don't know what it is, but it's like a snowmobile track that you modify up with an engine and a chain drive, and it just pulls you across the ice and all your gear. And
I'll explain it to you in a way I think that you'll understand, Adam.
that's the simplistic version.
It's like the most robust self-propelled push mower, but instead of a mower deck underneath of it, it's a snowmobile track. So it's just a big drive belt,
Yeah.
And you stand in your ice fishing sled, so an otter sled. A lot of hunters will know what that is if you're not in ice fishing territory. But you stand in the sled, and the sled, right, you're tethered up to the
you got a tow bar on it,
whatever you want. And then you hold it just like you would a push mower. And obviously there's a throttle on it because I've never used one. I just see these videos and I just think it's like, oh boy. And you just hold that thing and you go. It's like you're getting pulled across the yard in a sled behind your push mower, dude.
It's pretty sweet. I had to get one because, especially after moving up here, like the first couple times I went fishing, I hunt them through the ice like I do open water. Well, I can't just turn the key on my boat and go find them. Right. So, I'm putting on 3 to 6 miles. And when you get a bunch of snow on top of that ice, man, dragging a sled through snow for 6 miles is it's not as fun.
It's gotten to be because electronics and participation, I think, has opened people up to being more mobile and or having to be more mobile because of the extra fishermen on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. I'm sort of a 6 inches for an ATV guy. Like it's got to be 6 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to go out there and it's 6 inches here, but 3 inches over there. No, I want 6 inches everywhere.
Everywhere.
Right? Yeah. Well, with the snow dog, you can back off on that a little bit.
You can. Your weight's spread out.
Your weight's spread out a lot.
And they're
more.
light.
And they're also way lighter than an ATV or a snowmobile would be.
300 pounds, maybe.
Yeah.
So
and a light snowmobile is 5.
Yeah,
probably. And they move pretty quick. It looks like
I can get about 10 miles an hour out of it. It's good enough for me.
Right.
Faster than I can walk.
But yeah, it's entertaining. You'll see some of that because there was some of that from this last weekend. You had a heck of a trip with your dad that looked like a blast, and
So,
all right,
cool. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we're good. I don't know if we're good, but we're done.
I think we're done too. All right. We'll check out.
All right. We'll see you later, Adam.
See ya.
Thanks.
Bye.